Hi everyone and welcome to the Dodo Bird Nerd. It's me, the Dodo Bird Nerd, and in today's Magic the Gathering video, I'm going to be doing a deck tech for Tovolar, Dire Overlord. So without any further ado, let's roll the intro and let's get started. So one brief thing before I get into the deck tech proper is just a small interesting thing I noticed with some of the werewolves in Midnight Hunt. Mainly Hound Tamer, both versions but predominantly in the alternate art. Frenzied Trapbreaker, again, both versions but predominantly in the alternate art. And Kessig Naturalist in both of its versions. That being the simple fact that these all seem to be helping wolves, rather than just being alongside them like we may have seen on some older cards from Innistrad sets that had werewolves. These seem to be actually like caring for wolves or helping them out, which I just thought was an interesting thing that they explored a bit more in this set than maybe in past Innistrad sets. It was just an interesting dynamic I thought they added in the set based around werewolves, which ultimately made sense to show some different sides of them than what we'd seen in previous Innistrad sets. So the first thing to establish is what exactly does the commander do. Tovolar, Dire Overlord is 1 red and a green for 3/3 legendary creature human werewolf. With whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. In the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves and or werewolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of human werewolves you control and has daybound, which means that if someone doesn't cast a spell on their turn, it becomes night, flipping all your daybound nightbound werewolves. It also has the nice ability of basically ensuring we always have night on our turn, which also means 1, all of our newer werewolves will flip, and 2, his other part of the ability will transform all of our previous Innistrad werewolves, which, while maybe not as a major theme of the deck as you might think, is still very helpful. It then flips into Tovolar the Midnight Scourge, a 4/4 legendary creature werewolf that still has the whenever a wolf or werewolf you control does combat damage to a player, draw a card ability, as well as X or red and a green, target wolf or werewolf you control gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn, and it has Nightbound, which basically means if someone casts 2 or more spells in their turn, it becomes night, which will transform all of your daybound nightbound werewolves back to their day side. And so 2 important things to note here. 1, his trample ability can target himself, which is very good, especially with some of the other effects we're running in the deck. And 2, he references wolves as well as werewolves for both of his drawing a card ability as well as for his flip all of your stuff ability, which is what we're going to use in this deck. That's right, this is not a werewolf tribal deck. While it does run some werewolves for support, this is mainly a wolf tribal deck. So what exactly are the wolves we're running in the deck? Well, first we should probably go over the tribal cards that we're running for those wolves. First up is Hound Tamer, which is 2 and a green for a 3/3 human werewolf with trample. And for 3 green, it puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It also has Daybound, which flips it into Untamed Pup, which is a 4/4 werewolf with trample, which gives all your other wolves and werewolves trample, still has the +1/+1 counter ability, and has Nightbound. Now this card is mainly in the deck for the trample ability, so it fits under the wolf tribal umbrella, and trample is incredibly helpful with a lot of creatures. Then we also have Immerwolf, which is 1 red and a green for a 2/2 wolf. It has Intimidate, and other wolf and werewolf creatures you control get +1/+1, so just a fairly standard lord, and non-human werewolves you control can't transform. Now, if I read correctly, this would actually prevent Tovolar from flipping back into its day side, even if it is day, which makes it a very helpful card in case, for whatever reason, Tovolar doesn't set it to night automatically. Maybe we just got board wiped or whatever. Well, more limited board wipe, I guess would be the best way to put it. So, in some ways, Immerwolf can be a fairly good card to have for that second ability, but mainly it is there for the +1/+1 ability in this deck. Next up we have Kessig Naturalist, a red and a green for a 2/2 human werewolf. Whenever it attacks at red or green, until the turn you don't lose its mana, steps and phases end. It has Daybound. It flips into Lord of the Ulvenwald, which is a 3/3 human werewolf, which is a fairly standard wolf and werewolf lord, similar to Immerwolf. And whenever it attacks, add red or green until the turn you don't lose its mana, steps and phases end. And the front side has Daybound and the other side has Nightbound. Now this is mainly in here for the not Daybound ability, the wolf lord ability on the other side. While the mana ability can be helpful, it is not as needed as the wolf lord ability is in this deck. And then we have Mayor of Avabruck, which is 1 and a green for a 1/1 human advisor werewolf. Other human creatures you control get +1/+1. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Mayor of Avabruck, basically making it into this is the older werewolf, which is why Tovolar has the ability to flip all of their human werewolves so we can work with the older ones as well, I assume. And then it flips into Howlpack Alpha, which is a 3/3 again with the standard Werewolf and Wolf-Lord ability, with the additional bonus of at the beginning of your end step, make a 2/2 Wolf creature token. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Howlpack Alpha. Now, while the tokens made by it are there later, it is still a Lord, which I deemed would probably make it better to put with the Wolf Tribal cards, though there are a few other Tribal cards that I mainly put with the tokens. However, this one is mainly in here for the Wolf and Werewolf Lord ability. It also has the beginning of your upkeep, beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, flip it back to its front face. Now, this can be somewhat annoying, but Tovolar basically makes it so it'll at least always be flipped, assuming we meet the threshold on our turn, which overall makes it an incredibly good card in this deck, especially with the amount of tokens we'd be making. Next up, we have Nightpack Ambusher, 2 green for 4/4 Wolf with Flash. Again, it has the standard other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1, and at the beginning of your end step, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Now, that last ability is probably not happening that much because I don't have a lot of Flash in the deck. There are a few ways to do it, but not many, so that probably wouldn't be happening that much. But it does have the standard Lord ability, which makes it work well in this deck. Uruk's Kindred is 2 in a red for 3/2 Wolf with Trample, and you can pay 3 in a green and give target attacking wolf or werewolf indestructible until end of turn. That just helps get some certain attackers through, similar to like Tovolar predominantly, without having the risk of dying, as he only pumps power with his ability, not toughness, and so that can help him survive the combat. Village Watch is 4 in a red for a 4/3 human werewolf with haste and daybound, and it flips into Village Reavers, which is a 5/4 werewolf that gives all of your wolves and werewolves haste, which is very good in this deck, and it also has Nightbound to flip it back. Haste is incredibly helpful in this deck, especially with all the werewolves entering flipped, if they have Daybound, Nightbound, and it is night, which is very good in this deck, as well as with all the tokens we'd be making, we can attack for a lot of damage out of nowhere. Then there's Howlpack Resurgence, 2 in a green for an enchantment with Flash, which gives each creature control that's a wolf or a werewolf +1/+1 and Trample. Again, very good, a standard Lord ability as well as Trample, which is overall incredibly good in this deck. Shared Animosity is 2 in a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. While not naming wolves specifically, based on the amount of wolf tokens we'd be making, this is an incredibly good card to run in the deck for making the army absolutely massive, especially if we can give it Trample with something like Howlpack Resurgence or Untamed Pup. And then Moonlight Hunt is 1 in a green for an instant. Choose target creature you don't control. Each creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf deals damage equal to its power to that creature. This is just a fairly standard removal spell in this deck, but it is somewhat tribal, based on the fact that its damage output is based on the power of your wolves and werewolves, meaning it can be a very versatile removal spell in this deck. The last pair of wolf tribal cards we have are Moonmist and Arlinn, Voice of the Pack. Now, Moonmist is 1 in a green for an instant, transform all humans. Prevent all combat damage that may be dealt this turn other than by wolves or werewolves. Now again, while the flip ability is helpful, it's probably not going to come up that much with Tovolar. But what is key here is the other than wolves and werewolves bit. So that's important because it's basically a one-sided fog in this deck, which can be very important for either getting damage through, or by being able to sponge damage and potentially take out some creatures that were attacking us at the same time. Overall, a very important card in the deck. And then there's Arlinn, Voice of the Pack, 4 green for 7 loyalty, legendary Planeswalker Arlinn. Each creature you control that's a wolf or a werewolf enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And then you can -2 Arlinn to create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. That second ability can be helpful, but without any ways to upticker, it may not come up that much. However, that first ability can be absolutely massive if you can cast like a Wolfbriar Elemental the following turn, which we'll get to a bit later in the video, and just make a bunch of 3/3 wolves, which can be a very good ability, as well as just all the other wolves and werewolves in this deck. That static ability is incredibly good on this Arlinn in this deck. The next section to go over is the wolf cards. Obviously, in a wolf tribal commander deck, you're going to be running some cards that are just generically on tribe, without any real tribal support from getting them, but they're just fairly good cards to run that are on tribe. First up, we have Anara, Wolvid Familiar, 3 in a green for 4/4 legendary creature Wolf Beast. As long as it's your turn, commanders you control have indestructible, and it has Partner. Now, while the Partner ability is completely useless in this deck, The first ability is similar to Ulrich's Kindred in the sense that it can protect our commander, Tovolar, from dying in combat if we decide to attack with him, and then, pump him up with his own ability to deal a lot of damage, which is definitely something this deck can do, and so Anara helps protect him, on our turn at least. Then we have assembled alphas, 5 and a red for a 5/5 wolf. Whenever it blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, it deals 3 damage to that creature and 3 damage to that creature's controller. Basically, we can use it to get a rather large creature that they don't want to block due to the damage they would take to both the creature as well as to the controller, meaning that creature is almost certainly going to be dying from the hit. It's just a matter of how much they will be taking, and is it worth it to lose the creature or just to take a lot of damage to the face. Overall, a pretty good card. Then Fang of the Pack is 5 and a green for a 5/3 wolf with melee, which is whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attacked with the creature this combat. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, and the target creature you control gains melee until end of turn. So basically what you can do with this is, with all the wolf tokens you are theoretically making, attack all of your opponents with at least one creature. Basically meaning melee gives the creature +3/+3, and say you could hypothetically give this to Tovolar and make him just deal a bit more damage without having to pay any mana for it, which is a pretty good effect in the deck. Next up we have Fearless Pup, 1 red for a 1/1 wolf with first strike, and boast. For 2 and a red it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Activate this ability only if this creature attacks this turn and only once each turn. Now, I don't have much of a reason to run this card in this deck other than the card being absolutely adorable, and that's reason enough for me, so let's move on to Primal Adversary. 2 and a green for a 4/3 wolf with trample. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Primal Adversary. Then up to that many target lands you control become 3/3 wolf creatures with haste that are still lands. Now, the fun thing with this card is 2 things. 1, it's a big trampler potentially on tribe, which is very good with something even like Tovolar's ability or just other lords. It can be a very big beater in the deck, but also it animates a bunch of our lands potentially. And while there's always a chance of being blown out by a wrath, overall, if we have some lords out, this can be incredibly devastating and just give us an instant board, which is very good in this deck. And then Pyreheart Wolf is 2 and a red for a 1/1 wolf. Whenever it attacks, basically is all your creatures menace until end of turn. This was printed before menace was a thing, so it's spelled out like that. And then it has Undying, so if it's destroyed once, it will come back with a counter on it, basically giving it a bit of protection, allowing us to be able to use the menace ability more than once probably, as it might end up, being destroyed in combat. So giving us a bit of contingency is very helpful in this deck, as menace is an incredibly good keyword for evasion with a bunch of tokens. And the final slot of just regular wolves are these. Somberwald Alpha is 3 and a green for a 3/2 wolf. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and for 1 and a green, target creature you control gains trample until end of turn. So giving trample is pretty nice, especially if we run out of red to activate our commander's ability to do the similar thing. However, also giving our block creature's pump ability is actually pretty good, as it discourages blocking, especially if they have trample. Spirit of the Hunt is 1 green for a 3/3 wolf spirit with flash. When it enters the battlefield, each other creature you control, it's a wolf or werewolf, gets +0/+3 until end of turn. And I am realizing this probably should have been with the wolf tribal cards, but it's fine here, as at least it's still a wolf. But it can basically save your team from a wrath that's damage based, or even something like a Toxic Deluge you could potentially save your board from, which is a pretty good effect. And then Wolf here Silverheart is 3 green for a 4/4 wolf warrior with soul bond. Basically, when it enters or another unpaired creature enters, you can pair them as long as it's unpaired. And then as long as it's paired with another creature, each of those creatures gets +4/+4. Very good with a card that gives trample, like our commander, as that can deal a lot of damage, as long as it's paired, it's a 5 mana 8/8 with very easy trample with our commander. So overall, just an incredibly good card to run in this deck. Next up are wolf token makers. As I mentioned previously, this deck tends to like to make a lot of wolf tokens, both because tribal effects tend to work well with tokens, and because, flavor-wise it kind of fits in the idea of having a wolf pack. But overall, this deck just likes to make a bunch of wolf tokens, and so it runs quite a few wolf token generators. So the first wolf token maker up to bat is Ferocious Pup, 2 and green for a 0/1 wolf. When it enters the battlefield, it makes a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Now, similar to Fearless Pup, this is kind of just in here because the card is adorable, but at least this one is still 2 bodies for 1 card, both of which are on tribe, which is a fairly good card to run in the deck. Huntmaster of the Fells is 2 red and a green for a 2/2 human werewolf. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Huntmaster of the Fells, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token and you gain 2 life. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Huntmaster of the Fells into Ravager of the Fells, which is a 4/4 Trampler, and whenever this creature transforms into Ravager of the Fells, it deals 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage up to 1 target creature that player controls. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Ravager of the Fells. So overall, we want this thing to flip rather repeatedly, because that way we get a lot more wolf tokens as well as doing a lot more damage, overall making it an incredibly good card. And while it is a bit expensive, it is worth it if you are able to acquire the copy to run in this wolf deck. Next up we have Master of the Wild Hunt, 2 green for 3/3 Human Shaman. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. And tap all untapped wolf creatures you control. Each wolf tap this way deals damage equal to its power to target creature. That creature deals damage equal to its power divided as its controller chooses among any number of those wolves. So just by itself, that first ability of making a wolf token every upkeep is good enough to be run in this deck. The potential fight ability, well, pseudo fight ability, is helpful, but maybe not the most needed thing, but the first ability is incredibly helpful in this deck. Then Civil for a Partisan is 2 and a green for 2/2 Wolf Warrior with Trample. Whenever a wolf or werewolf becomes a target of an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So while you do have a few ways to target your own wolves with stuff like Lunar Frenzy, well, which I'm not going to discuss in this video, but I do run it in my version of the deck, it discourages targeted removal against your wolves or werewolves, as you will be getting a 2/2 wolf to compensate for that. Overall, a very good card in the deck. Tovolar's Huntmaster is 4 green for 6/6 Human Werewolf. When it enters the battlefield, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens with Daybound, and then it flips into Tovolar's Pack Leader, a 7/7 werewolf, with whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. And then for 2 green, another target wolf or werewolf you control fights target creature you don't control, and it has Nightbound. So, just saying this right now, the ability to create those 2/2s on enter the battlefield is very good. But when it flips and it basically gets Grave Titan's activation, but for wolf tokens, that is incredibly good in this deck and probably one of the best wolf token makers in the entire deck. Then we have Varus, Silvery Moon Ranger, 1 green for 3/3 Human Elf Ranger with Reach in Ward 1. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn. So you venture into the dungeon by going into the first room of one dungeon or advancing into the next room of the dungeon. And then whenever you complete a dungeon, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So over time it gives us value through the dungeons, as well as if you can complete them, it gives us wolf tokens. Overall, Varus is a very good card in the deck. Then Wolfbriar Elemental is 2 green for 4/4 Elemental with Multi-Kicker for 1 green. And when it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token for each time it was kicked. So late game, and we have a bunch of green mana lying around, this is an incredibly good way to just get an immediate board, a very good card in the deck. And then Mantle the Wolf is 3 and a green for an enchantment aura with Enchant Creature. Enchanted creature gets +4/+4, and whenever it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, be it if the enchantment is destroyed or the creature is destroyed, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, giving us some compensation for when our wolves are destroyed, as well as a very good pump effect on something like Tovolar, who can give himself trample and just decimate with commander damage. Next up we have Raised by Wolves, 3 green for an enchantment aura with Enchant Creature. Whenever it enters the battlefield, put 2/2 green wolf creature tokens onto the battlefield. The enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each wolf you control. And incredibly good in the card in the deck. For 1, it makes 2/2 green wolves, which are in a tribe, so very good. But the +1/+1 for each wolf you control is incredibly good. As, say again, Tovolar gives himself trample, that's a very good way to end the game with commander damage with Raised by Wolves. Overall, an incredibly good card in the deck. Then we have Wolfcolor's Howl, 3 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, create an X 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, where X is the number of opponents you control, opponents with 4 or more cards in hand. So this is commander. More likely than not, your opponents are always going to have 4 or more cards in hand, meaning that this is basically at the beginning of your upkeep, create 3 2/2s. Overall, an incredibly good card in the deck. Then Sword of Body and Mind, again, while a bit up there, is fairly decent in the deck, as it is a 3 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 in its protection from green and blue. And whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, again, very good with Trample on Tovolar, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, on tribe token, and that player mills 10 cards, potentially another way to close out the game if commander damage isn't going to happen. And then it has Equip 2, overall making it a very good card to run in the deck. Next up we have Predator's Howl, 3 and a green for an instant. Create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, which is a bit costly, but it has more bid to make 3 instead, which is fairly good in the deck. Second Harvest is 2 and green for an instant. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. While not specifically referencing wolf tokens, it is predominantly the only token made in the entire deck, so it's basically just make a bunch of wolf tokens for 4 mana at instant speed, which is pretty good. Then Arlinn Cord is 2 a red and a green for 3 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Arlinn. +1 until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance and haste. Pretty good in the deck. 0, create a 2/2 wolf creature token, transform Arlinn Cord. Very good in the deck. As it makes a token and flips it to its other side, Arlinn Embraced by the Moon, which has a +1. Creature to control, gain +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. Very good if we can get a lot of tokens onto the battlefield. That could probably close out a game, potentially. -1, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player, so Lightning Bolt, and then flip it back to its front side, so if we want the token again, very good ability. And then -6, you get an emblem with creature to control, have haste, very good in the deck, and tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. This can potentially close out a game if we can get enough tokens, as we don't even have to worry about combat anymore to deal damage to players, making it very good in the deck, for both the token generation and the ability to close out the game. So the final wolf token generator in the deck, while again a bit more expensive, is still an incredibly good card to run the deck, that being Arlinn the Pack's Hope. 2 a red and a green for a 4 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Arlinn with Daybound. It has a +1 until your next turn. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. This works very well with Nightpack Ambusher, allowing us to cast our spells on the opponent's turn, making more wolf tokens, as well as the fact that it just makes all of our creatures bigger, very similar to the War of the Spark Arlinn, making it a very good card in the deck. And then -3, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, just making more wolf tokens, overall a very good card. It flips into Arlinn the Moon's Fury, which also has 4 loyalty, as basically can enter on either side. It has Nightbound, and then +2 add red and green, okay to ramp us, and then 0 until end of turn, it becomes a 5/5 werewolf creature with trample, indestructible, and haste. Very good with something like Tovolar to pump it and make it even bigger, as it already has indestructible. And overall, just a very good card to run in the deck, mainly for the wolf token generation and the flash ability, so mainly the front side, but the other side can be helpful if we need it. The next section for this deck tech is support werewolves, which is exactly what the name sounds like. It is werewolves that don't really synergize with wolves, but they do provide some decent effects for the deck, and since Tovolar synergizes with them anyway, they make sense to run in the deck. First up we have Breakneck Rider, 1 red for a 3/3 human scout werewolf with, at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Breakneck Rider. It flips into Neckbreaker, a 4/3 werewolf with, attacking creatures you control, get +1/+0 and have trample, and at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Neckbreaker. Overall, that flip ability, which is very good with Tovolar, basically always meaning we're going to have that anthem on our turn, is incredibly good, especially with all the tokens we're making it very good in the deck. Then we have Daybreak Ranger, 2 and a green for 2/2 human archer werewolf. It has tap, it deals 2 damage to target creature with flying, and at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells are cast last turn, transform Daybreak Ranger. It flips into Nightfall Predator, a 4/4 werewolf with red tap. It fights target creature, and at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Nightfall Predator. Again, on the front side, we have very good flying removal, as this deck is pretty weak to flyers, and it flips, it just becomes generic remove target creature, which is very good in the deck. Next we have Duskwatch Recruiter, 1 and a green for 2/2 human warrior werewolf. With 2 and a green, look at the top 3 cards of your library, you may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if no spells are cast last turn, transform Duskwatch Recruiter into Krallenhorde Howler, a 3/3 werewolf that gives all of our creature spells 1 less to cast. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Krallenhorde Howler. Both abilities are very good in the deck. One can help us dig for creatures if we're needing it, and the other side just reduces the cost of all those creatures, making it very good to have. Then Mundronin Shaman is 3 and a red for 3/2 human werewolf shaman. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells are cast last turn, transform it into Tovolar's Mage Hunter, a 5/5 werewolf with, whenever an opponent casts a spell, Tovolar's Mage Hunter deals 2 damage to that player. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Tovolar's Mage Hunter. 1, there's the flavor thing of, Tovolar's Mage Hunter. And 2, it's very good as it, 1, it punishes our opponents from casting spells, which is very good for 1, preventing our werewolves from flipping, and 2, just dealing damage to our opponents. And yeah, that's the main reason for it. There's not really a second reason, that's just very good in the deck. And the final selection of just support werewolves in this deck are the following. Outland Liberators, 1 and a green for a 2/2 human werewolf. With 1 mana, sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Very similar to Qasali Pride Mage, but without the Exalted, and then it has Daybound. It flips into Frenzied Trapbreaker, a 3/3 werewolf with 1 sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment, same ability as it has in the front. However, it now also has, whenever it attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls, and Nightbound. Now, that second ability is incredibly good, because if we can just keep it alive during combat, we can destroy a bunch of troublesome artifacts and enchantments with just 1 card, which is very good. And then Werewolf Pack Leaders, green for 3/3 human werewolf with Pack Tactics. Whenever it attacks, if you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, draw a card. And for 3 and a green until end of turn, Werewolf Pack Leader has base power toughness 5/3, gains trample, and isn't a human. Now, overall, this card is very good because 1, it can basically draw us a card every combat as long as we attack with enough power, which shouldn't be that hard because it, with Tovolar, can activate it fairly easily just by itself, and it can pump itself if needed if we need to send the mana for Tovolar elsewhere, overall making it an incredibly good card to run in the deck. The last section for this video is just generic helpful cards that don't really fit a certain theme but are just generically helpful in the deck, so I thought I'd mention them here. First up, we have Grand Warlord Radha, 2 red and a green for a 3/4 legendary creature elf warrior, with haste, and whenever 1 or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in any combination of red and or green. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Now, typically this mana is going to one thing specifically, that being Tovolar's activation, as that can be a lot of mana to make something absolutely massive with trample, making it an incredibly good card to have in the deck. Halana Kessig Rangers, 3 and a green for 3/4 human archer with reach, and whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 mana. When you do, that creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature, and it has partner, which is not very helpful in this deck. However, that first ability to basically have removal on a stick is a very good card to have in the deck. And then we have Neith of the Dire Hunt, the former commander of my earlier version of this deck, 2 green for 3/3 legendary creature human warrior. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control fight or become blocked, draw a card, and at the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may pay 2 in a hybrid red-green. If you do, double target creature's power until end of turn, that creature must be blocked this combat if able. So for 1, weirdly enough, a lot of wolves have abilities that trigger when they're blocked, so that first ability is just good in the deck, and fight is not uncommon on wolves and or werewolves, so very good to have in the deck, just in general. And that second ability is very good with something like, I don't know, Tovolar, which can pump himself, leave 3 mana open, then have Neith double that power already, making him deal a ton of commander damage, and while he does have to be blocked, that can probably knock out a player from the game just by itself if you have enough mana, which is very good to have in the deck. So the final selection of cards I'm going to mention in this video are the following. First up is the Celestis, 3 mana for a legendary artifact. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as it enters the battlefield. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, so mana rock just by that. 3, tap, if it's night, it becomes day, otherwise it becomes night. Activate only as a sorcery. And whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, you gain 1 life. You may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So if our commander is removed too much where the cost becomes too high, this can be a decent way to at least get our Daybound Nightbound werewolves to flip. And then the other ability of day becoming night or night becoming day doing something is also very good in the deck, as more likely than not, Tovolar will be requiring it to become night, as it likely would have become day over the previous turns. Basically meaning we're gaining 1 life for each of our upkeeps and potentially looting a bit, which is very good to have in the deck. Then we have Moonrager's Slash, 2 and a red for an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it's night, and it deals 3 damage to any target. Yes, I'm aware this is just a slightly more cost-restrictive lightning bolt, but it's also on theme, and theme is important, and so that's why it's in the deck. And then we have Return of the Wild Speaker, 4 and a green for an instant. Choose 1, draw a card equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Either of these modes are good. We can either draw a bunch of cards, or potentially anthem our team for a win, overall making Return of the Wild Speaker a very good card to have in the deck. So what'd you think of my Tovolar Dire Overlord Wolf Tribal Commander deck? Let me know in the comments down below. What changes would you make to your Wolf Tribal Tovolar Commander deck? Let me know in the comments down below. And 2 quick things before I conclude the video, the first being that the deck list for this deck will be in the description of the video, and the second thing being the next Magic the Gathering video I make will likely be a taxonomy series, going over more birds. I know, shocking. I might make a deck tech for Crimson Vow when it comes out. It all depends if there's a commander in that set I want to build. If there isn't, then I probably won't end up making a commander deck tech for it. But if there is, then I will make it. So that one's slightly more up in the air, as I don't know, because I don't think there's going to be a Zoology Commander in that set, but who knows, I might be pleasantly mistaken. So with all that out of the way, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!